look what we have here. It's another Sausage Taking podcast. This is unbelievable, just cranking out these things. This week is very special. We've got Shard on, who is basically an absolute whore, ex-student of mine, and he's living in Japan. We're in Japan right now, and he's just, like, every time I see him, he's like, I just banged 2 girls yesterday. I'm like, how was that? What are you talking about? So he's a slut, and we'll be talking to him. But it's a great story, because he went from basically being a virgin to being an absolute whore. So that should be interesting. And of course, so you can say hi, Shard. Say hi.
Hey.
That's him. And also, we have Mr. Marcus Oki.
That's right. Here I am.
And he's here again to chat about some stuff. So I'm in Japan. I've been here for a few weeks. It's a fascinating place. I thought we'd just have a quick chat about the culture. I guess Chard is also our Japan expert, because you spent how much time here altogether?
This is my 15th or something time here. I can't even keep count.
So he's been here loads, and he had Asian fever before, and he's just taken it a level further, where he just decided, I'm just going to be in Japan pretty much the whole time.
Yes.
And here he is. So just some stuff I've noticed. Well, first of all, let's just say it's very different, isn't it?
It's completely different to what you expect in London. It's like an alien society almost.
Or just anywhere in the West. Yeah, it's completely different. It's fascinating. The first thing I noticed that I find really disturbing and entertaining at the same time is their obsession with using young-looking girls for sex. Everywhere you look, there's little girl bands where they look like they're 13, and obviously they're 18 or 19 or whatever, or 20, but they look like they're 13, and they're dressing sexy, and they're dancing in these music videos with they're all kid themed and shit. So it's really fucking weird. Now, because if you saw any of these videos in the Western world, people would just if you were caught owning a tape of these videos, people would just be like, this is kiddie porn. That's what it is. I don't care whether they're having sex or not. It's kiddie porn. It's kids dancing around looking sexy, and they're kids. They look like kids. That's what it is. And it's totally normal here, as is every other imaginable fetish that you can imagine. So my personal theory, and I'll bring it over to you, Shard, is that they're so fucking repressed that in everything, and that's just obvious from everything that is going on around us, that they have to let it out, and they can never actually go out there and express their actual feelings, so they just go and watch porn and get into all this kinky fucking weird shit, so they don't explode, basically, and spill guts everywhere. That's my personal theory.
I think that's quite true, but it's also, I think, a historic thing as well. They've had for at least 100 years or so things like love hotels, where people will go and hook up. So it's been part of the culture to kind of show this sexy side. While not so much in magazines and newspapers like you see now, it's always been there, but very hidden. I think the fact that we're seeing it more and more now is something a little bit different. Especially when you see one of the bands, AKB48, is very big here, full of 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old idols who aren't allowed boyfriends, will jump around on screens, singing songs, acting very sexy, and you do wonder how you get to that at such a young age. Walking around a Caribbean festival yesterday and seeing 16-year-olds who look like they're in their 20s, it's very difficult to also tell how old someone can be when they display that level of, I want to say, maturity compared to the West.
We actually had a little brush with jail there, just because of how young the girls look. That's
yes.
Oh, he's giving me the sign. We're not gonna talk about that one. So anyway, let's talk more about the. Just joking. I'm joking, everybody. Wink, wink. But no. But so I guess the first thing that before we lead into why it's all weird with the sex is just the culture itself is just very fucking different. So let's kind of share the weirdness of the culture.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to weird culture are the guys with jobs telling you to walk around.
Oh my god. Marcus? Yeah. This is one of the things that we understand, so Marcus, bring it down.
You know, I remember when I touched down in Tokyo and I was walking along and, there was a gap in the pavement where cars go in and out of a car park, and you want to make sure you don't get run over for that little space of 5 yards, because a car could come out really quickly and maybe just catch you at 5 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. It could happen in the UK.
Could happen.
Luckily, in Tokyo, they've got this problem fixed. They're ahead of us, clearly. Mm-hmm. And they had a guy standing there with white gloves on and a red stick, pointing out the danger, saying, "Stop! Wait a minute. Let's just check the situation's clear. Let me check if there's a car." There's no car. Come on, let me guide you through. Let me guide you through these 5 yards. I'm so happy doing my job. Yes, you've got to the other side and I feel good. And I thought that was a bit overkill. Well, I did think it was a bit overkill until I realised there was 3 other guys also there on standby. Maybe 3 other guys have got his back, making sure that should one car get through this tiny little gap, and he missed it, one of the other guys would pick it up. And if he failed, there's another guy there. There's a supervisor there. There is a lot of job creation going on.
I've seen one person who's actually doing construction, like whether it be hammering something or working on a drill, whatever, and there'll be 4 other guys just making sure that nobody and the beautiful thing is, there's a fence anyway. There's a fence. They put it metal, so you can't get to the place where he's working anyway. But then there's another 4 guys from every angle, just making sure you don't get past that fence.
Yeah.
And they're just waving you along, making sure that it's okay to walk by that guy working with a hammer.
It's
fucking hilarious. It's the biggest waste of manpower I've ever seen ever.
It's a double-edged sword because I got onto a train and it's very customary. Like the guards come in on the train and they bow to the train as they walk on the carriage, and as they leave the carriage, they bow to everyone on the carriage. They do it even if the train carriage is empty. And I was talking to our guest here and saying, really, when does Japan stop becoming Japan? Like these little nuances, these little things, these little weirdness bits. Like if there were no people watching out for us as we cross the road, if there was no guard bowing to an empty carriage, if they got rid of all that, would Japan still be Japan? Because it's kind of got a bit of a quality. It's very nice. Everything works here. There's no crime. Everything's lovely. But at the same time, everything is very conservative.
But I think we're slowly getting to that point where we know this will no longer be Tokyo, this will no longer be Japan. I think the Olympics will play a big part of that. We're getting a lot. Traditionally, you came to Japan 10 years ago, only 1% or less than 1% of the population would be foreign. It's now far higher than that. I don't know exactly what it is, but you see everywhere you go, foreigners all over the place. And with that, they bring their culture. McDonald's is absolutely everywhere here now. And with the Olympics coming in 2020, I'm sure that a lot more will be coming this way. So I don't know if that culture will stay. Maybe in the rest of Japan we'll still have it, but not in Tokyo.
Well, I think there are some definite things to learn from Tokyo, and Sasha's looking forward to trying one, which is the toilets here.
Oh yeah, so one of my buddies and ex-students, and also a guy who's actually helping us out doing some work at the company, Mike B, who's fucking an awesome dude. He keeps begging. He was like, before I came to training, he's like, dude, they have these awesome toilet seats. You got to get me one, bro. I'll pay for it. I'll pay whatever. I'll pay more. I don't care. Just bring it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you got to just use one, dude. You got to use one. It's amazing. And apparently, I haven't fully experienced it yet. I'm just about to take a poo and use one, actually. But I sat on one of them, and it was warm. And it's like you sit down, and your ass is warm, and you're like, oh, this is really nice. But apparently, Marcus took me over to show me one, and apparently it's like you press a button after your poo, and this little beep, 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 this little thing comes out like a tube, and it sprays water. So Marcus, he wanted to show me, but it knows that you're not sitting on the toilet. So he sits on the toilet, pushes the button, and he kind of wiggles over so I can see this little fucking metal pipe come out, and then the little pipe started shooting a little bit of water, and then it shot water really, really hard, and it went in my fucking face. So I had poo shoot water in my face. Special poo water in my face. That's what happened. But anyway, Marcus, you want to tell them about your delightful... Anyone have a funny story about the first time they realized that your asshole gets cleaned up with these magical toilet seats? Because I've yet to experience that joy.
I
can't wait, by the way. Let me just say, as someone who likes tongue up my ass, cannot wait for this to happen.
So I was always aware that the toilets...
I might take a shit during this podcast, leave you guys talking for a couple minutes, and just go take a shit and do it just so I can get back in here, honestly.
I was always aware that toilets are these magical things, but it's some of the other features which are kind of quirky as well, such as, did you know there's a noise button? So if you're kind of loud in the toilet, you can press a button to generate noise, so people outside the bathroom or toilet won't hear you, and they'll hear some kind of music instead.
What happened to just good old putting toilet paper down the bowl to soften the blow?
You have to do that some places.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How in Japan?
You guys ever get that problem where you get like a small toilet seat and then you're sitting there and you're shitting or pulling, but your cock just sort of hits the fucking toilet itself, so you're literally just you're in the inside of the bowl and you're hitting water.
No, I'm Indian.
Marcus?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely share that problem.
No, so just me on this one. Fair enough.
Yeah.
For me, the awkward thing is, though, going to somewhere which has one of these modern toilets and not knowing what button to press to flush the toilet.
I like the Ukrainian toilets the most because it's like you just have to squat and there's no water, so your poo just hits solid, like the actual toilet, but then it rolls on a little hill into the water, so it doesn't smell, but there's no splashback. And so the people in Eastern Europe, they have it down. They're fucking awesome.
They have that as in China as well, India, and those are traditional Japanese toilets as well.
Genius. I'll tell you what's amazing. I genuinely have to poo right now, so I think we should pause this. I'm gonna poo, and then we could wrap up the point about the toilets. I'm gonna do that right now. Guys, actually, I'm going to take the recording system into the bathroom with me, and you guys can hear me poop and my reaction to the poo magical water squirter thing, and then we'll continue the podcast. So here we go. I'm walking over there now. Marcus, I know traditionally you'd be in there with me, chatting to me, but break tradition this time.
You're alone here.
Yep. I'll be right back. Alright, this is a little bit weird. But hey, it's a Sasha Dagan podcast. Anything can happen. I wonder if anyone's actually shat during a podcast before. Maybe it's a first. Alright, here we are. Let me find the light switch here. Where is it? Fuck. Okay, I don't see a light switch. We'll poo in the dark. Oh, it's a big toilet seat too. Wow, it's really huge. Alright, so Marcus showed me the button. It's that second button, so I do know what it is. Alright, here we go. You hear the washing machine next door because some little piggy spilled some iced tea on someone. Not gonna say anything more than that. Slide says, please do not leave your crap all over the toilet. It's disgusting for others, and use it to use after you. It actually says that in English. Do not leave your crap all over the toilet. Nice. Oh, here it comes. If you hear that really subtle humming, the toilet seats actually come on. It's amazing. It's like a form of AI. Amazing. Oh, there we go. I'll close the door so you can actually hear the sounds from the toilet. And now recording me pooping in a dark room as I can't find the light switch on a podcast. That's what's happening. I'm a bit nervous too, because Marcus said, you remember the first time you had to use one, you have to kind of wiggle it to find the right spot for the water stream to fucking get in your ass. So I'm a bit worried about that. What if I'm not in the right place? You know what I'm saying? Just get wet balls then. It's gonna be fucking weird. Show up how your asshole looks dirty, but my balls are wet. Oh god. Jesus Christ, here we go. Here comes a big one. Oh. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh yeah. Oh. It's big, but it's smooth. Oh Jesus. So now I'm pretty much done. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to just use the bun or use the toilet paper first, but I'm going to use a bit of paper. A little chunk hanging there, which is bad news, I guess. Let's see to get a piece of it. Oh, here we go. Oh. There we go. Where is this? I have to crack the door open to get some light in. Okay. There's not much there, but let's do this. I did 2 wipes for the record, and let's do it. Let's push this fucking button. I am a bit nervous. I will admit. I see what happens. So this is very quite clever. It does a little bit of water first, and it shows you where it's going to shoot, and it fucking comes in hard. That's awesome. That makes perfect sense. Okay, I'm going to wipe this all wet down there. That is interesting. That's great, actually. See, this toilet paper is really cheap to thing. Like, it totally destroys it. So you gotta fucking get in there a few times. But I can do it. Oop. Okay. What? Joseph makes me tired. So
How's the poop?
here's what I find. Well, it was awkward because it was in the dark because I couldn't find my switch. But what I liked about it was, as the water comes on, there's a little bit of water first that's basically telling you this is where it's going to come. So you wiggle your ass to the right spot, and then it fucking comes in really hard.
Yeah.
Which is actually not a bad technique for sex.
Yeah.
Get your cock in there, find where the right spot is, and then when you know where it is, then when you get your real hard on, then you start fucking ramming it in. It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's not like it really cleans it out. It just gets it a bit wet. But the problem is
No,
the
you've got to
Japanese.
turn the pressure up.
Maybe so.
There's a hose.
Maybe there is a hose. I didn't know about it.
Them hoes.
It's my first time, Marcus. I'm sensitive.
Sorry, brace before hose. Okay.
But the toilet paper is really, really shit. So far as I've seen in this country, it's not even toilet paper. It's like a thin sheet of like wax paper. I don't know what it is. It doesn't have anything.
The reason I
Horrific.
think it's because
Horrible.
the sewage system isn't so good that it can't take the thick paper we have in the UK.
Right.
So they have shitty paper here.
Okay, that explains it.
Literally. Figuratively,
Shitty paper.
Shitty paper.
Way. All right. So now that I've done the world's first ever live pooping on a podcast, the poop podcast, poop podcast, what are we going to call it?
Poopcast.
Podcast?
Poopcast. That's pretty immature. So we talked about. So let's talk about how fucking like you know how in the UK people are like if you bump into someone they'll apologize and they're really just awkward and everyone's like holds in their emotions and they get really drunk and let it out. It's like that here, but there's even more rituals and more weird shit going on. Sharon, what do you have to say about that?
So, the first thing that comes to mind is sumimasen.
Sumimasen.
So, it's a word with many uses. If you want to call someone in a restaurant to serve you, you'll shout out sumimasen. If you bump into someone on the street, sumimasen. If you want to introduce yourself to someone or just go in to like do an approach, you could use sumimasen. So it's a very kind of flexible word you can use in all these situations. It's a very respectful kind of excuse me. I generally avoid it and I go straight in and I'm just like talking rubbish to someone straight away. But you will find that in all these situations, you see someone drunk on the floor and have friends around them, they'll say sumimasen to everyone that walks past.
Yeah.
Like, excuse our friend for being drunk.
Sasha went and bought some shoes today, and I introduced him to the guy, served me and gave me shoes and did it all so properly in Japanese and perfect. And I was like, I will introduce Sasha, and I bowed to him and he bowed to me and he bowed to Sasha, and Sasha ran over and just gave him a bear hug and held him and held him and held him, and it was awkward. And he looked at me, the Japanese man looked at me and I looked at him, and Sasha didn't look at anyone. He was just looking at the floor, holding this guy in his big arms, and I was just like, sumimasen.
Yeah, that was fun. I just thought it was just random. I just thought, let's see how long I can hold this Japanese guy and what he's going to do. And he just kept going, and like sort of almost like half bowing, and then just patting me on the back and just. I don't think he's ever going to really try and get out of that. I think he's just going to stand there until I leave.
What do you do?
What do you think? What do you think? We should try that. Just see how long can we go hugging somebody with before.
I am slightly upset by Japan. You know, Japan was a land of warriors, of shoguns and ninjas and things like this. And,
that's right.
You know, all these kingdoms in Japan, and this warrior class just got destroyed after World War II, and now they're all on their best behaviour. And you see all these crazy, you know, as we were talking about this repressed society, and I'm like looking at it and thinking, Jesus Christ, you guys used to be like the most
feared
warriors on the planet, and now you're just like, you know, looking at photos of schoolgirls
waving at people to walk by where it's safe.
Well, yeah, it is a bit of a shame in that respect, and I hope they do rediscover it again.
The shame thing I thought was really interesting. Actually, Marcus was explaining. It was you that explained this to me, where there's such a tension, a sexual tension, always present, that just if you tell them the example.
Well, I'm not sure if it's, you know, I'm only understanding this through foreigners' eyes, so I could be incorrect in some respects, and I'm not sure if it's sexual tension, but a friend of mine was doing some work with a friend of hers here, and he picked her up and took her to the studio and did some work with her, and on the way home he gave her a lift, and nothing was said in the car, and it was like a enforced embarrassment that the guy would not talk to the girl because he has to show that he's kind of embarrassed, and it has to feel a bit awkward. So she had to do all the conversation, and he was just there being really quiet and being very reserved, even though they know each other really well. And she was explaining to me, like, she's very au fait with Japanese culture, and she was saying that some people have that kind of they, you know, there's this protocol that, oh yeah, you've got to act embarrassed. If someone comes to your house to visit, you've got to be busy. So if you have a guest there, you know, be busy, do some dusting, do the dishes, just you know, so the guest doesn't feel like too much pressure. So, you know, that's what I've heard. I don't want to spread rumours here, but this is just my understanding of it.
So there's lots of protocol. Bowing is hilarious and cute and sometimes worrying. Lots of unnecessary jobs. Low. Everyone's got jobs over here. The unemployment rate's quite low because they'll just create a job for you. Just stand there and watch this tree, mate. You're just going to make sure no one shits on the street. That's your job. People will do that for 20 years. It's awesome. Pointless. Totally pointless. It's great. And we had some of that in other Asian countries too, where people were just doing some job where quite literally a guy would guard like one bit of pavement that was special for some reason, and that was it. That's your job.
Did we see this in Korea?
I think it was in Korea. I definitely saw some of it in Hong Kong, I think. Yeah, but it exists in Asia. Just jobs that don't. I'm sure we have it with us as well. Like how many office workers are completely pointless. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Marcus, you have to run off, don't you, buddy?
I do have to run off.
But that's a shame. But thanks for popping in and sharing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I flew 10,000 miles to be here, so don't mention it.
It's worth it.
7-hour plane flight, and yeah.
Well, I'll see you back.
I didn't even make any jokes. Even the stories weren't really. They didn't really have any punchlines. I relied on you a bit.
They never did. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I'll see you back in London pretty soon.
Yeah, but if you want amazing conversation skill training, you should go to
yourcharismacoach.com with Marcus Oki.
Yeah, I plug myself every moment I can. Anyway, see you later, guys.
You could get this guy for $2.50 an hour, but I told the prices, and now it's much more expensive. All right, get out of here.
Okay, see you later, Sean.
Cool, see ya.
See you later, Sasha.
So, oh wait, Marcus.
I'm back.
Come back in for 1 second. Okay. There's just one thing I want to bring up, and as we were waiting by, I'm like, wait a minute. There's something I want to fucking bring up. So what I want, it's just in the news now, and I hope we get this podcast out soon because it's fucking topical right now. But so there's a gentleman who went apeshit and killed 6 people. Right, and the media, and basically the stories he was posting on like PUA Hate and a couple other forums. Some of them are just normal forums, and but basically some reporters just basically went like, oh, this guy's posting on men's rights groups, and basically not so subtly they were actually linking, you know, guys like us who are interested in self-help to going on murdering rampages. Okay. And I think this is really offensive, and I put an article on it, and so I thought we'd talk about it a little bit. But is it possible that, do you think this guy was crazy, or is it possible he was so frustrated because he made a video saying, I fucking hate all these bitches, they want to have sex with me, they're having sex with all these fucking alpha dudes who are assholes. Do you think maybe he really just needed some game, and he could have, if you were just getting him laid, that everything would have been fine, or what? What do you reckon?
Well, I think all men growing up to some degree feel ostracised and feel on the outcast of society, whether even if they're hugely successful and popular, or whether they are going through a tough time. And we don't really have a rites of passage for men in the Western world. We go from just being guys at school to guys at college to guys at university, and if you're in Japan, becoming a sauri man. And that's a real shame, because when you go through that rites of passage, I think when you step into manhood, then stuff like that just does not become relevant. You see the bigger picture. And
well, yeah, because if you actually had to do some shit like live in a forest for 2 weeks on your own, suddenly, like, because Jenny, who you've got a crush on, doesn't talk to you.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Some guy called
You're a man anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Regardless of whether you can get your dick sucked by some fucking chick.
So I think the men's development groups are good in the way that they give a very crude rites of passage for men. A lot of workshops really are that guide.
Bang a girl behind a fucking dumpster. Charlotte's going to talk about that later.
Yeah, I think a lot of self-improvement, it really takes that form in disguise of just going through this rites of passage, this moment. And for many people, they hit it later in life. They hit it at 25, 30, 45, who knows? For tribal cultures around the world, they get it when they're 13, 14, 15, 16. So this guy, it seems like he really needed that, and he didn't, and that frustration built, and then he just snapped. And statistically, I mean, how many people are into this sort of thing across the world? Millions? Must be millions by now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it's on TV, it's in culture, it's even on like Family Guy. There's been jokes about it and whatnot, and the TV show, the pickup artists and stuff. So statistically, one person goes a bit ape and does all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, and it'll probably happen again, and it's sad. What we do have to look at is, I wonder how many people that kind of movement has saved. So that's the other thing that's not really reported, and we can't know. We don't have a universal calculator that's going to say.
I get emails every week that say I saved motherfuckers' asses, pretty much.
Well, that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
I think
3 emails that told me a guy killed a bunch of people, and it was much fun.
Well, I think also, we've got to be egotistical to say like, oh yeah, we're saving. People are saving themselves. If this didn't exist, they'd find something else. But what this does offer them is ready available steps to move through. It does offer them a structure where someone might say, well, that girl never liked me, so I turned to poetry and became a poet, and now words are my friend, and whatever, and they become a man that way. They have to have that passage of self-discovery, but in the community, as I understand it, really just gives them this pathway to walk. The important thing is they've got to get off the path. Eventually they've got to leave the path behind. The path is also a dead end eventually, and I'm always saddened when I meet people who are like, I got into this 5 years ago and I'm still in it now, or I got into it 10 years ago and I'm still into it now. It's like, geez, move on to the next stage of your life already. Get this bit handled. You don't want to be doing this like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You want to have the options where you can go and meet and chat to girls, and that's great, but it shouldn't be like, this is that thing I do. It's just like, yeah, it's no big deal, it's this thing I am. Oh, it's a cute girl, I'll chat to her. I'm not going to tell my mates about it. I'm not going to be like, write a report on it. It's just what you do. It's what people do. It's just normal. And
Marcus, I agree with you 100%.
I'm going to stop.
And I think we need to have some kind of rituals for these men.
Yes.
Otherwise, my people are going to
see, should have let me go. Now I've rambled.
Go on, get out of here.
Alright, see you later.
Who needs to poo, you or Marcus? It's him. Alright, go ahead. He's pooing, everybody. He just wants to use that fancy toilet when I talk about my story. He wants to get some water up his ass. That's all it is.
I just want to record it.
Alright, so calling in now, a very special guest. He's been on the podcast before. This will be his second appearance. Dating advice expert, Rodger Curry. Alan, are you there?
Yes.
Good. Beautiful to have you on. Once again, so you must have heard about this whole situation with Elliot Rodger. He was a frustrated young man, couldn't get the attention from girls, and basically went up, posted videos on the internet talking about how he's going to go and get revenge on all these bitches who, are these hot girls who just are going out with all these other asshole guys, and he snapped, And obviously, no one's happy about him going around killing people. But what really bothers me is, I don't know if you've seen on the media, there was a thing on Slate.com where basically this woman is writing, just saying, oh, well, he posted on PUAHate.com and he posted on a couple other men's rights groups forums. And she was basically, she was trying to be subtle about it, but I don't think she was being that subtle. She's basically likening guys who are in self-help communities as misogynists. That if you're trying to get better with women, if you're trying to have sex with girls, you're a disgusting pig. And she was basically saying that this leads men to be murderers. And I think the opposite is the truth. I think when you actually deal with your frustration and actually get better with women and express yourself, you're actually gonna get laid. You're gonna get a girlfriend. You're gonna get rid of all that frustration of not getting laid. And you're actually going to become a valuable, normal member of society. In fact, I would say being mode 1 with women will prevent you from becoming a serial killer. That's just my thoughts. What are your 2 cents?
Oh, this is. I'm glad you invited me to express my opinion, because the weekend that happened, I cannot tell you how loaded my email inbox was, my Facebook inbox was. It was, for me, it was one of those situations. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, I'm sure you have at least a handful of times, where you might have given a friend or a group of friends a cautionary warning, and maybe they ignored your warning, and then something happened. And on one end, you were sad that whatever happened. It was probably something unfortunate that happened. But you felt vindicated because you felt like, well, I did tell you so. If anyone who's read my book, Mode 1, Let the Women Know What You're Really Thinking, I have a chapter 5 is about, in my book, if you're not familiar with it, I have 4 modes in my book: Mode 1, Mode 2, Mode 3, and Mode 4. And basically, my chapter on Mode 4 predicts the George Soldinis of the world and the Elliot Rodgers of the world. I basically say, when you exhibit Mode 2 behavior and or Mode 3 behavior for an extended period of time, at some point it's inevitable that you are going to end up, at minimum, you're going to make a temporary pit stop into what I call the Mode 4 zone, or in the case of Elliot Rodger types, you're going to go into the Mode 4 zone and you're going to stay there. I was talking about this type of stuff back in the early to mid 90s.
Now let's just clear up, because some listeners may not be familiar with those terms. Mode 4 is obviously when you're angry, you hate all women, and you just think all women are bitches. Mode 2 is, go ahead, why don't you just do a quick Mode 2 and 3?
Okay, Mode 2 behavior, as described in my book, that would be your proverbial Mr. Nice Guy. That's a guy who tends to exhibit a lot of behavior that's exceptionally polite, very cautious, very beat around the bush, very lighthearted, very flattering, very accommodating. A Mode 3 guy, that's a guy who is either just afraid to approach women at all, he doesn't take any action, or if he does muster up the courage to, say, approach a woman, initiate a conversation, his whole conversation is going to be dishonest, disingenuous, and or cowardly. And he's never going to just outright let a woman know what his true attraction are, what his true interests are. And what I basically say in my book is that a guy will only be satisfied being Mode 2 or Mode 3 if he's getting an above average degree of positive reciprocal results, which is rare for that to happen with those 2 modes. But if you're being Mode 2 with women and you're always being put in the friend zone, you be in Mode 3 with women and you're being ignored by women, treated like a chump, being used for free meals and then getting dumped, it's inevitable that your mindset is going to get frustrated. You're going to become egotistically frustrated. You're going to become bitter. You're going to become resentful. And that's when you're going to transition into the Mode 4 zone. And you're going to get to a point where you're basically like, I hate all bitches. They ain't responding to me. They rejecting me. They ignoring me. They treat me just as purely platonic friend material. This is bullshit. Fuck this. And you start wanting my name in the book, nickname. I have a nickname for each of the modes. And for Mode 4, I call it Mode 4, the misogynistic revenge seekers. And what I say is that when you get in Mode 4, you want egotistical revenge. And that's literally what Elliot Rodgers wanted. He wanted egotistical revenge on women. And so I could have predicted his behavior. Because the last time I talked about this was when this guy, George Sodini, he had a similar incident in a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, here in the United States. He had, followed a couple of PUAs. He was going to gym on a regular basis. He thought that by working out, he felt he should have been attracting more women, and he wasn't. And so one day he just snapped. He wrote a diary similar to Elliot Rodger, and then he went in a health and fitness club in the suburb of Pittsburgh and just shot up a bunch of women, 13 women. And at that time, few people asked me my opinion. I said, this is not the end, it's the beginning. I said, as the years go on, you are going to see more and more guys permanently residing in the mode for misogynistic bitterness zone, and you're going to, in extreme cases, and I even said it on PUA Hate one time. I said on PUA Hate, like within my first 2 months on that board, I was reading some of these guys' posts, and I said, some of you guys, I hate to say this, I said, some of you, it's at least a handful of you guys that are going to become the society's next serial rapists and or serial killer. I can tell just by the things you're writing on this board. I actually got interviewed by 2 major publications who I'm not going to say their name, and you hit on something. It's funny, at first these 2 publications were anxious to interview me. But then when I told them that the true nature of PUA Hate, I know they lost interest. Because as you alluded to, see, a lot of people in the media, they were trying to suggest that Elliot Rodger was a fan of professional dating coaches and professional pickup artists and professional seduction gurus. When the reality was, it was just the opposite. Most people in PUA can't stand people like Sasha and they hate dating coaches and pickup artists and shit.
Yeah, because they've given up. They think it's all a big fat scam, that you can't improve yourself with girls. You can't get girls. Girls are fucking bitches, and you got to have money and power or be rich or something. All that stuff to get women. They're the guys who have absolutely 100% given up, and they're, as you would say, they're in mode 4, and they don't, they just think it's all a big fucking scam. Now, to a degree, to the part that a lot of dating coaches do stink, and they are just all about taking in money and teaching the same old indirect mystery method bullshit. I agree with that. I can understand them being frustrated about that, because if you went and spent $3,000 on a boot camp, and then at the end of it you still couldn't come up to girls and talk to them, I'd be pretty pissed off too. You know what I'm saying? But that's the only part I would agree with. Obviously, there's a lot of dating coaches like you, me, and a whole bunch. They're doing a great job, and obviously women aren't all bitches. I'm sure there are some bad girls out there, but women are wonderful, and they just can't see that anymore, so they've just gone off the deep end. So, yeah, it's very interesting, and if you've read some of the stuff going around, it really is. I mean, the one that really got me started, and I just thought, fuck, they're trying to frame this thing as linking it to the seduction community or the men, whatever, men's dating advice community. It was an article on Slate.com by Amanda Hess. She really wrote a piece that just basically very, very not so subtly was saying that. Oh, he posted on here, he posted on another PUA forum, and a guy went out and fucking shot a bunch of people up, and that's basically what she was doing. And I just thought that was absolutely fucking ridiculous, just absolutely outrageous. So I went and did a video on it. I wrote a huge article I just put up about it, and so yeah. And now we're doing the podcast. So yeah, just absolutely ridiculous. It was really badly researched, and I think they did it on purpose because they knew that by doing that the people in the pickup community are definitely going to probably attack her and attack other people and get very defensive. And for them, that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to get a reaction. So I'm trying to be even-handed about it. Oop, you still there?
Yeah, it's no, yeah, I was, yeah, it was, yeah, like I said, that's exactly what happened. I could tell that the 2 publications who wanted to interview me, they were like that. They were, I guess, again, they were thinking that I was going to side with them and bash the attraction seduction community and basically say stuff like, yeah, all PUAs suck and they are the reason why Elliot Rodger did this. And I was basically, no, I said, this had nothing to do with dating coaches, and I don't normally defend all PUAs, but in this case, I was actually defending. I was like, no, PUAs had nothing to do with Elliot Rodger doing what he did. He was a guy, and you know what? I've lost even more respect for him. I already, had almost zero empathy for what he did, but I read his manifesto, which is a sick piece of writing. That dude was a sick, disturbed dude. But I was thinking this guy had approached like 50 to 100 women, and all the women, like, you know, just harshly and brutally rejected it. This guy never approached a woman. He didn't approach not one woman. He was thinking because he had a BMW and wore nice clothes, he thought women were supposed to approach him, which is ridiculous. How can you be frustrated over not having sex with women if you're not even if there's one minimal thing that guys like Sasha and I teach among a number of other dating coaches, the bare minimum thing we teach men to do is approach women. You can't be standing against a wall waiting for women to approach you the only exception would be if you're some kind of rich, famous celebrity. That's the only time you can expect women to approach you first. Other than that, you gotta approach women.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just it's amazing that it's kind of one of those beliefs that it's kind of in our society, and it kind of gets passed down. Oh, just be a nice guy and just wait and just be patient, and one day you'll just meet the one. Like some girl's magically going to just show up on your doorstep one day. You'll open the door and she'll be like, "Hey, you know, are you John Smith? Wow, I just heard you were a really nice guy, really respectful guy, and I just thought maybe we could go on a date sometime." People actually think that's going to happen. Something like that's going to happen to them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's fucking ridiculous. So I would go so far as to say your book, Mode 1, Let the Women Know What You're Really Thinking. I would say if there's one cure for becoming the next Elliot Rodgers, get that fucking book, because it will explain to you how to not be fucking Mode 4, not be an indirect pussy, and how to actually, you know, deal with sexual frustration by actually going out there and expressing yourself to women. If you were doing that, you would not want to go out there and kill girls. You just wouldn't. Simple as that.
I agree.
Because it builds up. That frustration just builds up, and people go fucking apeshit. So this is why I was so upset at those articles. I think actually following certain people in the dating advice community, like, you know, you, me, the guys on the Direct Dating Summit, they will help you get better as a man. They'll help you, you know, grow your confidence or your indifference and get your skill set together and go out there and meet women. And hey, when you're having sex with girls, you don't want to go on a killing rampage. You know, if I got a nice cuddly girl in the bed with me and she's rubbing my shoulders and, you know, I'm getting it on. There's no way I'm angry enough about anything to go out there and hurt anybody. You know, I don't even want to go out of bed when I have to. So, so it just doesn't make any sense. So yeah. So if anything, the dating advice community is the solution, not the cause of stuff like this. And I think if more men were actually empowered to you know, to seek out self improvement and have sexual relationships with women, I just don't think we'd see things like this happening at all. That's my opinion.
I co-sign.
Yep. All right. Beautiful. Well, it's great to have you join us and get in your 2 cents on this. And yeah, let's cross our fingers and hope more men wake the fuck up, and we'll have a few less killings in the future.
I hope so.
So what do you think, Shard, about this fucking guy who the media is trying to... I'm just upset that certain media publications were just being like, well, he posted on some men's groups, so now they're all fucking psychopaths. Like, get the fuck out of here.
To be honest, I've kind of avoided the whole thing. I haven't really cared too much about it. I think the bigger thing for me was he was from a well-known family in terms of his dad was a director, right? For
Yeah,
Games?
kind of, yeah.
That kind of thing. So you'd assume that... Well, I would assume that someone in that kind of family will be going to a good school, having people around him who might pick up on this, someone of money. Maybe that's wrong, but I would have just assumed that someone would have picked up on these habits which he had, and therefore could have helped him sooner rather than the average person who doesn't have all of that.
Yeah. I mean, he did. People saw that he was going a little bit fucking batty, and they didn't do anything. So, but I think I said enough. Like in the article I wrote, if people haven't read it, there's a link below. So I pretty much said what I had to say, but I just wanted to bring it up and see what you guys have to think. So, all right. So let's get into the interesting thing. So you yourself, back in 2010, signed up for my boot camp back when I was charging fucking peanuts, shekels, and you negotiating at a discount, you fucker.
Woohoo.
One of my ongoing jokes is he still owes me lots of money because he should pay what it's worth now. But the other time, and he did the course, and he was fucking really tough. That's what's really funny about it. I think he's one of the only students that couldn't get a phone number, couldn't really stop. It was really struggling to stop
stop
girls.
a girl or get a
couldn't
phone
stop
number.
a girl. Nothing. It was just really tough. He was doing it, but he just had the wrong energy. He just could not fucking do it. And I actually felt guilty. And this happens very rarely these days. But where I was thinking, like, man, I feel bad. I don't feel like I've done the best job. Maybe it's my fault. You get all these thoughts going through your head because someone's paying you money because they believe in you, and you feel really bad if you don't feel like you're really reaching their expectations. So I did the best I could. And then, of course, I ran into him later, and he was doing really well. And actually, I recorded some stuff with him I was going to put up years ago, and I just never did. And then I ran into him now, and he's one of the biggest sluts of all of my students ever. He's hooked up with over 100 girls now.
Yeah.
Okay, just over 100 now, isn't it?
It's over 100. I don't know how many I stuck out.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. He's a filthy pig. And he really should be the poster boy for seduction, because I'm not going to slag you off or anything, but even though he's British, he's Indian. And there's a bit of a stigma where people are like, oh, Indian, like a lot of Indian guys are like, oh, I'm Indian, white girls don't like Indians, blah, blah, blah. So it really should go to show, it doesn't fucking matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. So it's fucking ridiculous. So how are you such a slut? Explain it to me. And by the way, as we're recording this, was it yesterday or the day before? You
Sunday. So
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
You pumped 2 girls in one day. Tell us what happened. Let's start there.
So I was in Tokyo. There was a big Caribbean festival, full of very attractive girls. A couple of which we met in Family Mart. They'd just come over from Singapore and they wanted to have a look around, and they were very excited about Tokyo. They gave us their numbers before going off, and we met so many plentiful number of girls there. One girl...
Oh, these are the 2 that I'm...
Well, those were like the first numbers we got for the day.
Remember the one? No, when we were with...
I didn't hook up with those 2.
Not those 2, okay.
I got a date with
one of them was from Singapore, right? That's what I thought you meant, those 2. Okay.
And a date planned with her later on.
But you stole that one from him, didn't you? The cute one.
He didn't want her.
I don't believe that. She was cute and the other one wasn't. Why was he talking to her if he didn't want her? That doesn't make sense.
He was talking to her, then he ran off to get another girl while those girls were still there, and then he left me with those 2.
That's his mistake, isn't it?
It is.
That'll learn him. Alright, so go ahead.
So, I've got a date with those 2 set up for when I'm back from China in a couple of weeks. But later, shortly after that, I met this cute girl who was walking around by herself. And one thing I've really kind of started to notice is girls walking very slowly. Generally, they have nothing to do, they're very bored, and they're waiting for someone to open them. So I spoke to this girl who was also new in Tokyo. She'd just come from some small town north of Japan to go to university here. She was 19 or 20, and she spoke great English. She came here because she wanted to study English literature before going off to America or somewhere else. She'd never left Japan. And the fact that I was an English speaker intrigued her, because she hadn't met many English speakers, and she was just out for the day to see what Caribbean life would be like, try food and everything else. So we went around the market. I told her that she had to try jerk chicken, and it's really amazing. Most of the places were sold out as it was towards the end of the festival, but we finally found somewhere. We got some chicken. It was a very crowded festival, so I pulled her out to the festival and said that we should go to quite a bar in a local area. That area was also very close to where I lived, so we went there.
What a coincidence!
Yeah. We had some coffee because she wasn't a big drinker, and from there we went to my place, and as soon as we were there I just kissed her, made out with her, and then within minutes she was all over me. So I'd say that was the first girl of the 2 girls. She then left to go home, and I had been invited to a party at the Hilton in Tokyo. They were having a soft launch for their beer garden before they opened it to the public. I'd invited a few friends to join me. I get to the hotel, and none of my friends are there. They tell me they're going to be an hour and a half or 2 hours late. I then see one friend of mine who's there on a date, and I hang with them for a while, and I pick another girl who I'm really interested in and tell her that I'm at this beer garden in the Hilton. I know it's something she'd be interested in. Come alone or bring a friend, whatever you want, up to you, but come if you can make it. She replies straight away, which is unusual for Japanese girls. They normally take days to reply to messages, and said she was actually near the Caribbean Festival where I was earlier. She wasn't dressed appropriately. She's one of those girls who likes to really dress up elegantly, but she was dressed casually, ready for to chill in the park. But if it's fine, she'd love to come. So she came along. We had a couple of drinks in the beer garden. She had a few drinks early in the park as well. The beer garden closed about 9:30, and then we took a taxi back to my place. So one was completely random from the festival. This is the actual second girl I met in 2012, and I've hooked up with her a couple of times. In between, she's had boyfriends. Some of my trips here, she wouldn't see me. I actually saw her.
So you hooked up with this girl before?
Yeah.
Okay, well that doesn't count. Come on. I thought it was like 2 fresh ones. Boom, boom.
No, not 2 fresh ones.
Oh, fuck off. Dude, I was like, this guy, that was your whole intro. This guy banged 2 girls the other end. Well, it doesn't matter. You've done lots.
They're both in the street, though.
Yeah, no, fair enough. See, that's hilarious. You found a girl that you already hooked up with just walking around.
No, the first one I didn't know.
Right.
The second one, I met her before and I texted her.
You met her before on the street, original one. Okay, gotcha. That's cool. But yeah, you've been absolutely horny. Like every time I fucking see you, it's like you're going to a date or you meet another girl. Or it's just this. Well, it brings me back to me in 2008, frankly, when I was really getting into it. It was just fucking going crazy. But before we just talk more about the kind of the Japanese girls, which are interesting on their own. Let's talk more about you, because it's interesting because you come from an Indian background. Your parents, of course, are traditional. They have, they have no idea what the naughty stuff you're up to. And most guys, they're just not going to go on this path and get really good with women. So I think most people are just going to be thinking, how the fuck did this happen? Like, what happened? What drove you? And how did you actually get to this point where you're absolutely like whoring it out? Like, you must be one of the biggest sluts in Tokyo. For God's sakes.
Well, I think my intention was never to hook up with that many girls. My intention was just to, at that moment when I took your boot camp, to get a girlfriend, because I never had a girlfriend. I never kissed a girl. Like on your boot camp, I never got a girl's number. So I like the idea that you can hook up with so many girls was kind of a pipe dream. It wasn't even part of my reality. It was more the fact that I just wanted a girlfriend, and I probably would have settled for far less than I would settle for now. And it kind of grew from there. Once I took the boot camp, and for the first 3 or 4 months, I didn't really get any numbers still, but I kept at you kind of the teachings and understanding what Sasha was talking about and building up from there. It took maybe 4 months when I got my first number, and my first number actually turned out to be my first lay as well. A half Polish, half Swedish girl, looks like a model who... I was more deceptive back then. I took her on our first dates. My goal for that first date was just to kiss her. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't even want to sleep with her. All I thought was, I just want to kiss this girl. And I took her out to see elephants that were planted around London back then. There were hundreds or so all over the place. She got some good news that day that a job she applied for, she managed to get as well. And I started the date first going to a coffee shop. Then we went for a little walk around London. We went to a bar when she got the news that she's got the job. I took her then to Häagen-Dazs, Leicester Square, to get some ice cream. And this whole time, my goal was just to kiss her. But I was trying to be at the same time a little bit more deceptive. I knew that she didn't live in London, so I was trying to kind of entertain her to the point that she wouldn't realise she'd forgotten her last train. We still walked to a station, and I already knew that by the time we got to the station she'd have missed her train. So even then, when we got to the station, I was too scared to make any moves. So I took her to a pub which my friend ran, and only then, maybe at 2 in the morning, after starting this date at 1 p.m, do I then pull her in and go for a kiss. And she's super receptive. And I do dread to think what a bad kisser I was then, because I could feel like neck strain, tilting my head to the side as I was kissing her. And then a different friend of mine said, "This girl's really into you, you should take her home." I was staying with my family back then, so it wasn't an option. So finally, we kind of went walking around London. We went to the casino, and we kind of made out more there and had a couple of drinks. And then in the end, I took her to a hotel, and that was the first time I ever got laid.
I never even heard that story.
You did hear it, because you came to my birthday that year, and I remember showing you. It was the blindfold girl.
Oh, you did show me that picture. Fuck, that was years ago, that party. God, I can't.
Yeah, that was 2010.
That's what.
She was supposed to come to my birthday that day. She didn't come because she was out of London in Surrey and she couldn't get away from something. But a week and a half later, she took me on our second date. She took me as my birthday present. She blindfolded me, took me to Maidenhead. We went into a taxi, and then when I got out and took this blindfold out, it was bungee jumping as a birthday present for my second date and missing my birthday.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, that part I didn't know about.
So that was pretty cool. I know people on the podcast can't see it, but there's your reminder.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this picture. Oh my god,
And
she's fucking hot. Dude.
that's why I don't forget it, because this girl was absolutely beautiful, and to be the first girl who I ever hooked up with, it was just an amazing experience, and it made me feel that I could get anything I want. That was a point when I realized that I can get any girl I want. I don't have to settle for a girl who likes me or likes this or likes that. I can get a girl of my choosing, and that was an amazing moment for me.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, and it takes a lot to keep at it for 4 months. It takes a fucking lot. Like 4 months with nothing, most people would quit, man. I know most people quit, because most people I talk to, they fucking quit. And then they'll do a few approaches, they get rejected, and they're like, fuck this shit, and they go jerk off to porn. That's what they do.
I was kind of at rock bottom back then, though, because I'd met a girl before I met you, about a year before I met you, who was someone I worked with and I absolutely fell in love with, and we hung out a lot for almost a year, but I made no moves, I did nothing. We kind of ended up going on dates, like spending time in Bar Market together, but I would never kind of let her know how I felt, or do anything to demonstrate otherwise. She had a feeling I liked her, but I'd probably say in summary, she wanted more of a man, someone who'd lead and swift her away, take her to where she wants to be taken, in terms of like she liked me but I made no moves, so kind of she'd want me to take her home, or she'd want me to lead our interactions to what we do, and I didn't do that, and after a year, when very drunk, I knew I was doing this while drunk, but I kind of told her how I felt. She told me she knew I liked her, she didn't feel the same way. And then she started making out with some guy I knew, who I found out later was completely gaming her, in kind of a very mystery sense.
Mm-hmm. Which girl are you talking about now?
This is an Irish girl, before I met you.
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of put me at rock bottom, to the point where I was willing to put any effort in to kind of learn, to get better. Mm-hmm. And I'd say that if I didn't have that experience that brought me to the bottom, I would never have worked to get to where I was.
Right. That makes sense. Did the first girl have a Polish one? Polish Swedish? I've never even heard of a Polish Swedish girl ever. And fucking both of those are like known for being hot. So that's what's so interesting. Did she know she took your virginity? Did you ever tell her that was your first time?
No.
She never knew, huh? That's crazy. So until she hears this podcast, she's like, motherfucker, that was me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did she ever say anything? How was your confidence actually, doing the deed? Because, you know what I mean?
I was actually really confident.
Where does that come from?
I wasn't pushing to do, things...
You're a chubby Indian, for God's sakes. Where do you get the balls?
Skinny back then. But I think, I didn't push it too much. I didn't push for, getting a blowjob or anything else. All I did was, when it came to that point, we were, cuddling in bed. I pulled her in, kissed her. And then, really, really slowly. I mean, I probably took 2 hours from when I started kissing her in bed to when I actually put my penis in her. It was a very kind of slow process that I was doing this, unbuttoning her top. She slowly started unbuttoning my top as well. At one point, after playing with her boobs on the outside of her top, not the inside, she then grabbed me, and it was a very, very slow process before anything happened. I don't think I pushed for anything else, or kind of, I didn't know what I wanted with girls back then, actually, if it was the truth. I knew I wanted to have sex with her at that moment, but I didn't know kind of what I want. Right. Now if you put me with a girl, I know exactly kind of how I want to have the sex and everything else.
One time and then never again.
One time. Not always twice. Always twice.
On time, and then I'm just going to check what that noise is outside the window. I'll be right back. Out the window. No. But okay, awesome. So that's interesting. Your low point before, and then the half Polish, half Swedish girl. So, and then after that, it just started fucking happening, or what? Because for me, I remember this is back in 2007. It's like it was definitely a few weeks of like it was definitely a couple of months of approaching, and then I got it was a bunch of flakes, and then one girl finally who was like, okay, yeah, like I started dating this girl, and I knew I'm going to get laid, so I started hooking up with this one girl, and I had all these other girls, and they were seeming solid, and I just knew I'm just about to hook up with these other girls, and I'm not into this girl that much, and I just knew this is it. There's no going back. At this point, there's going to be sex all the time, pretty much. And I was right. After that was pretty much it. So how was it for you? Like after, because once I hooked up with that first one, it was really pretty relative. I mean, you still have to work for it.
I'd say once I got the first one, I was in state all the time.
You're just ecstatic that you
yes,
got laid, yeah.
But I think that if we talk about things like technique or what I was actually doing, it wasn't really consistent and good.
Right.
So I'd say that first one was about May, June time. So the next one didn't come till September.
Mm-hmm. Fuck.
Once I got that, I was working Monday to Friday outside of London. I was doing approaches on the weekends, but I didn't really have much time to date. I had a lot of instant dates, but then I'd find that there was something wrong with the girl. Like, I remember one particular French girl who had a boyfriend, but she didn't really care when she was with me. And the thing that put me off was her rolling up tobacco, and I was like, I'd never want to kiss a girl with that tobacco brand. Mm-hmm. Now I'm less fussy. If the girl's extremely hot, I'd still go for it. But back then, it was like a complete...
It really pisses me off still, dude. I just tell girls straight up, like, if you can go on a date with me for a couple hours and not smoke, that's cool, but if you really are that addicted, first of all, just the fact that you're that addicted to drugs puts me off, and then the fact that I'm going to have to be smelling that, I can't really take it. Unless we're talking about, like, Natalie Imbruglia in 1998 hot, then maybe I'll think about it, but fuck, I really hate it. But anyway, please continue.
So the next one was September, and it was actually... No, actually, the next one was in August. It was in London in August. It was another... this time it was an English girl. Who lived in central London, and...
well, let's not get into all the fucking early girls, for God's sakes, because it's just... we'll go on forever. We do them all. But so fast forward to now, what would you say, like, I mean... Well, let's just actually talk about fucking chicks. I mean, like, if you had to sum it up, what exactly are you doing? Is there some secret or something you're doing that you feel like is really fucking kicking ass, or are you just basically talking to girls, being friendly, and fucking escalating?
I'd say that I overthought everything before, and now it's actually kind of simple. I know that approach the girl. If you're not approaching, then that's the first problem. Once you've approached the girl and she's engaged to the point where she's asking you a question or you're asking her a question, a lot of my approaches are my initial interactions aren't very long. There'll be a few minutes. I don't think I'll ever do one which is more than 5 or 10 minutes unless it's an instant date. And in that time, I will try to express as much as I feel I can about myself in that small period. I think that I express more about myself than I hear about the girl, and then use that to get her interest. I think when I was back in London, what I was doing is finding out so much about the girl and just being silent about myself that I'd never hear from the girl, or the girls would say that they don't know anything about me. I don't get that so much as a problem now, that girls feel that they know enough about me, that they feel confident to meet me.
Do you think it's more important she knows some about you than you about her before the first date?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Normally, I wouldn't say that... in London, I will always go direct. In Japan, I will be less direct, because a girl, when I'm walking alongside her, talking to her, and see her giggling and smiling, she knows exactly why I'm walking with her. And if I see a giggle there or something else, she knows I'm hitting on her, and that is enough. That's direct enough. I'll get girls who won't even give me the time of day, and they'll just be very serious and they won't react. Mm-hmm. But the second I see a small little smile or something else, the girl knows exactly why I'm there. She knows I'm hitting on her, and it's just enough expression so that she feels confident giving you her number.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because that's a huge difference here in Asia. It's like, it's just part of the culture. Like, you don't want to lose face. You don't want to be put in an awkward situation. Nobody wants to hurt your feelings. And this whole culture built around sort of avoidance of humiliation kind of thing, right? Nobody wants to be put in that situation, so you can't. And people are very shy, and it's very repressed. So you really will freak a girl out if you come up to her and like, damn, you're so hot. Like, you just can't do that here. They will flip, unless it's a girl from she's very westernized. But like the average Japanese girl is just gonna flip out.
And the other thing I find is attractive girls in Tokyo are extremely attractive. I mean, to me, I would say I don't see 10s in London the way I see 10s here. And those girls know their value. They know they put effort into their clothes. If you look carefully, you can see they're using trendy Japanese fashion brands like Mars and Dia. And they know exactly what they're wearing. They know exactly what their value is in terms of looks. And so going up and telling them something which they already know is a bit different than going to a girl in England saying, you look amazing, and you see her smile because you've made her day. These girls are kind of expecting it. Nampa hair or meeting girls is something which has happened for a long time. So going and being that direct doesn't really faze them and doesn't kind of make them react.
Doesn't impress them either.
Yeah. So what does impress them more is self-amusement involving them at the same time. Talking about what I love tall girls. You're very tall. I once dated a really tall Swedish girl. She had blonde hair. Swedish girls are natural blondes, but in Japan, everyone has dyed hair. I bet your hair's dyed. Do you ever look at the stars? And like kind of that self-expression kind of slowly gets their interest, and I'll kind of put those questions in like, is your hair dyed? But I won't necessarily expect a response at first. I'll just see them giggling, they'll be a bit shy, they won't want to talk, but slowly they'll open up, and as soon as they open up and a conversation starts, then I know that's it, they're hooked, I can get their number, or try and go for a date.
Yeah, it's a very different game plan than standard direct game out in the West, where you just be like, because just the fact that you're approaching a stranger and just being honest about your intentions blows their fucking reality apart. No guy will come up to a girl in the middle of the daytime, especially in the UK, or frankly, in most parts of North America. They'll just be honest and just be like, yeah, you're fucking sexy, I want to talk to you. It just doesn't happen. Guys don't do it unless they're hammered. In fact, I've been asked that probably more than anything. Like, are you drunk? And I'm like, no. Does a man have to be drunk to find a woman attractive? I'm like, huh? So it's a really big change out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was coming over here and I was like, oh no, I'm going to talk to girls and I'm going to fucking have to be less direct, and maybe I'm going to be indirect, maybe that makes me a pussy again and I'll go back to being a bitch. And so I just have this stigma. It's like, I got to fucking tell girls that they're hot, but you don't have to. They know what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not stupid.
I mean, for me, like an example where you were there was on Sunday afternoon. You saw a girl walking along Sentoga in Shibuya, who I was about to open, and then you ran in front of me and just started talking.
She was fucking hot as shit.
Apart from the teeth.
I was trying not to open I didn't want to talk to any girls. It was my fucking girlfriend anyway and doing other stuff. But I couldn't help myself.
And with her, she could see she was walking confidently. She knew she was attractive compared to most of the girls out there. And going up to her and saying, you look hot, you look amazing, it's something she already knows. So the point that the other thing I find is I've discovered is Japanese girls, Japanese guys don't really maintain friendships. A girl or guy who are with each other are generally there because they want to hook up or there's some kind of relationship they want. It's not like in the West where you will see guys with many girlfriends or girls with many guy friends or mix in groups of friends. Generally, it's a discreet hookup culture and people know their place. So the fact that you're a guy walking next to her, she knows you're not there to be friends, and she knows you're not there to sell her something, because if you are, you do that very quickly. She knows you're there to hit on her. Then it's just showing that why you're more of a man than anyone else who's trying.
So you think it does show that?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then it's about persistence, that kind of, when she's blowing you off and not talking to you, it's not that she's not interested, she wants to just test and see how much of a man you are.
Well, this is one of the key things I say about, doing fucking direct game in the West. It's like, it's a test. So many girls will walk away from me, and I can see that they like me or whatever, and I'll just reopen, and then they'll giggle or whatever, and they'll walk away. And it means nothing. They just want to fucking know, are you legit? But it's interesting that that's one thing that they have, very much similar here. Pretty much the same deal.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I find them harder to read here because they're just they don't really react. So they don't react. They give you almost nothing, and they just keep walking. So it's almost like in the West, at least, girls will giggle or smile or something, and then they'll walk away. And you're like, okay, no, she likes me. Here, they're just literally they're not even slowing down. So it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
So the trick is to assume that their non-reaction is positive and keep going for as long as you
forever until she calls the police.
I mean, I've had sets where I've gone for maybe 15 minutes before the girl has cracked a little bit and started laughing and giggling.
Wow. I don't know if I
But the girl was absolutely stunning. This was in 2012, and I think that was kind of my peak where I put this effort in. Now I'm far more lazy with my game. I keep it short. I know what I want, and I've got kind of more abundance now that I know that if I don't get this girl, I don't care because there's going to be 100 hot girls right after her.
Of course.
But this girl was particularly stunning. She was she could be like a 90s poster model for like what a Japanese girl is, with her perfect hair, makeup, her style of clothing. I can't even describe it. And kind of very unique. You don't see this anymore. In fact, Egg magazine, which was a Japanese girls magazine that defined a lot of the culture that the West used to kind of describe Japanese girls in terms of their appearances, ended this month because that whole culture is dead now. But she had all of this, and I thought, I need to talk to her. I need to see what's happening. She didn't even speak a word of English. And you could say, like some people might say, he's irritating her, but she was enjoying this moment that I was walking along beside her, unfazed, being a man, speaking in a language she probably didn't understand, and she'd look at me, and then she'd kind of give me a weird look like, what am I doing? While she knew exactly what I was doing. And after 15 minutes or so, I took her to Starbucks. I didn't hook up with this girl, but I think it was like putting that persistence in there. It shows that I still got that date. If I spoke Japanese, I think that I could have had more of a chance with this girl. I had no way at all in connecting with her. I don't think she'd even seen an Indian guy before. I think it was like beyond her reality. We couldn't communicate at all. She didn't know a single English word.
But you've had this story many times where you're on a date with a girl who doesn't fucking speak a word and still end up taking it back here, and you know what I'm saying?
True, but I'd say that they understand like small words here or there, like drink.
Yeah, but
this girl wouldn't even understand drink.
The point is, you can have dates with girls who don't fucking speak your language and you don't speak theirs, and you can still fucking go all the way.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. That's fucking awesome. So I think the big question people are probably going to want to hear from you is, you know, what if somebody is in the position you were in before you fucking started, and they just fucking stink. They're, you know, either a virgin or whatever. They just cannot, you know, they can't approach girls. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Or maybe guys who started and they're in that 4-month period that you were in, and you just cannot get any results. What the fuck do they do?
So I'd say
any pointers for the new people?
Definitely. So the first point is self-realization, because if you don't realize, I've seen lots of guys on the streets of London who'll go out every Saturday approaching, and they're approaching because they're with other guys who are approaching, but they're not really getting anywhere. So the first one is kind of hitting rock bottom helps, and if you feel you're there, you could go out and just kind of follow other guys and
approach. You need to hit rock bottom even more. Try and kill yourself once, but fail, and then
hit rock bottom, and then I'd probably say take a boot camp to accelerate your learning, because otherwise you're just wasting your time.
Is there any particular boot camp you might recommend?
No.
Fuck you.
Yourcharismacoach.com.
You're such an asshole.
No, of course, like, we'll come to the boot camp at the end. So I'd say that the first one is to kind of hit, if you've hit rock bottom, that's one thing. The second one is, I've met a lot of guys who approach and they're really bad, but they're not willing to admit it. They feel that if they keep pushing, they'll get there. And it's kind of having that realization that you need help, and only kind of you can do that inside. No one else, no videos on the internet, no hearing to podcasts even, apart from this one, no watching videos, or DVDs will even help until you have that realization inside. And you might realize it, but you might kind of not want to express it to other people. But at least that's a start. You've got to have that feeling inside that you want to make that change with your life. Once you've got that, you can be helped and you can be fixed. A lot of people can't because they're not willing to do this, but I'd say that is single-handedly the most important thing.
I agree.
realize you're rubbish, have the realization that you can do something about it, want to actually make that change with your life, that you want to be in this life with girls. And it might not be that you want hundreds of girls, because I didn't want hundreds of girls, I just wanted one girlfriend. Whatever you want, this is the right start to your journey. So once you put all of that together, you need to kind of go out and take right action. And that's the point where I'd say I started looking online and I discovered your website and decided to do your bootcamp. For different people, they'll want different things. Some people want to meet girls in bars and clubs. Some people want to meet girls on the streets, some in coffee shops. I've personally found that the hottest girls, definitely in this country, are girls I met on the streets. Not even coffee shops, definitely not bars or clubs. I go to bars and clubs a lot when I'm extremely horny and feeling lazy and I just want to pull. But if I just want to get with the hottest girls, the kind of girls who I'd like to kind of make my girlfriend, the streets, nothing comes close to the streets.
I've been saying that since 2007.
And that's where you want to be. And if you're in that position where you've hit the bottom, you know you're willing to get help, and you want to meet the hottest girls for whatever reason, whether just to hook up, whether to have a girlfriend, or whether more, then I'd say you're at the position to start your journey, and then go look at Sasha's website and see everything available there.
Bam!
But I'm guessing you're already there if you're listening to this.
They pretty much know, yeah. Yeah, man, no, I totally agree with you. I think that's one of the biggest issues guys have, is that they just cannot admit they fucking need help. They just can't do it. And it's so weird, because if a guy is an alcoholic, I guess some of those people are the same, but they'll go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Or if the guy's a drug addict, they'll be, alright, if I have a drug addict. Or a guy is has an issue with being overweight, or he needs to fucking get some muscles, he'll join a fucking gym. If you really suck at speaking French, and you really want to learn French, you'll get fucking French lessons. But when you're suck with chicks, God forbid you tell anyone, let anyone know, or get some fucking help. No, just sit there and be addicted to internet porn and jerk off, and just shut your fucking mouth. Like, why?
But as a bonus tip I'm going to give, after getting the confidence with women, my confidence at work increased, and from there I managed to kind of do a lot of my business stuff as well.
That's right. That was another question I was going to ask earlier. You were on about doing dirty things with girls. But I'll ask it anyway.
Okay.
How has this changed other areas of your life?
So,
it's a great question. I've been noticing about that more and more. Most of the emails I'm starting to get now, so many of them, are just guys, asking about, how do I get the life I want to do? How do I become happy? How do I get the job that I want, instead of just becoming part of this fucking retarded system that we're in? So that's a lot of that is just going on right now. People just
so when you have the confidence to go out and talk to women, that's like a first step, but it's not the only step. But that confidence there starts coming in other parts of your life, when you're out with friends, when you're out with colleagues, or even when you're in the office. And I think from there, I will say, to an extent, I had a false sense of confidence when I started doing this. Now it's kind of better and I understand what I'm doing. But I was kind of feeling pretty high, but I see myself as 10 times better. I get one lay and I think of myself as like a god who just banged this half Swedish, half Polish girl. So you have this kind of false sense of confidence.
Everyone have delusions of grandeur. They're good for you.
But they're good for you, because it forces you to push other points of your life. And I got to the point where I decided, okay, what else can I do? I got a job at one company, and that job ended up being a fixed-term contract job, and it ended up starting me to decide to run my own business afterwards. I managed to get lots of clients. I did over-exaggerate what I did. I got them all. Now I'm more down to earth, and I understand what my ability is. But I would say that I did the bootcamp. I got hot girls. I started my own business. I moved to Japan, a country full of even hotter girls, and I'm making good money, and my life is good. I mean, I'm not unhappy in any way. So I think that you do need to take it in baby steps. You've got to have that realization you need help, and you should just address the first problem. Don't look too far, and just go for one problem at a time. But know that there's good things at the end. And I'm not at the end. I'm still on my journey.
I think we're all on the journey. But yeah, no, dude, I totally fucking agree. And it's one of the things I've been ranting on for a really long time, and one of the reasons I started the Direct Dating Summit. But just like, as a man, it's just one of the things you have to have control of in your life. You just have to you have to have some skills with women. You need to be able to, at the very least, come up to women you find attractive and start a conversation with them. You have to be able to do that. Otherwise, you just feel like a little bitch, and you're always living in this world of just like of lack. You're always living in this world of I really want to talk to her, but I can't. And so you don't respect yourself because secretly you know you're a little fucking bitch, and probably it's going to affect you in every single way. So it really, really, really does affect your baseline confidence, having the skill set, and it really does lead to. If you feel awesome about yourself in one area, why wouldn't it? It just spreads, man. And I wrote a great article of this as well, which is just success. Having the winning mindset, it's just contagious. Once you start fucking kicking ass, you just naturally, want to kick ass in other areas. And that's why so many of the people who are really, like billionaires or super talented or super famous, they don't just do one thing well. They do one thing really well, and they pick another thing, and they do that really well, and they're like, fuck it, I want to learn something else. So this explains all these people who are just like, an amazing singer and an amazing actress, and then they end up fucking their own line of clothes that they design, and then doing some other, and you're just like, how the fuck is this person so talented? And it's not even that they're talented, it's just they put all their energy into one thing, they fucking mastered it, and they took that skill and that confidence and went, fuck it, let's go master something else. And you can do that, It's fucking beautiful. Boom shakalaka! Alright. So I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty awesome. And so Sharon's been kicking ass, and I'm in Japan, and I said to him, dude, you should come work with us here at Sasha Day Game Systems, and help on some programs. So hopefully, if the word spreads and the Sasha Day Game quest to make men better spreads to Asia, hopefully you'll get in here and you'll be doing some training programs, which should be exciting. And you definitely be one of the biggest sluts teaching the program. Yay! So awesome, beautiful. It's been an absolute pleasure. Anything you want to say to all the guys out there who are now thinking, what the fuck? This is all propaganda. This guy can't be chubby and Indian having sex with girls. What do you say to those guys? What do you say to the haters, Sharon?
Cheesecake is the best date ever.
You know what? I used to go for you're from London. Apostrophe?
Yes.
They have the best fucking hot chocolate ever. It's like fucking soup. It's amazing. And
Paul's hot chocolates.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
You said this to me.
Paul's hot chocolate is like hard solid chocolate melted. It's thicker than Apostrophe's one.
Jesus Christ.
I think that one is kind of like a milky chocolate to a little extent. This is just dark chocolate, like a cup of extremely thick melted dark chocolate.
We could just get a bar of 90%. Just nuke that shit. That'd be amazing.
It is amazing, and I'd probably say that's great. Probably the place I've got laid from most after having a date is Starbucks. Don't underestimate Starbucks.
Starbucks is awesome. I hate to say it because they're evil corporate empire, but fuck it, I like Starbucks.
And
I don't drink coffee, but I like Starbucks.
I don't drink it either. I've given it up.
Starbucks is cool though.
Sofas where you can sit next to the girl in Starbucks are the best. I'd say that going to a bar, sitting across from a girl drinking wine, versus sitting in a Starbucks with a sofa where you can chill together, having a drink and just kind of slouch.
Actually hear what she's saying.
Yeah. Forget what she says. Being on that sofa where you're close to each other, you can both have a drink, and that will give you a better date than having a bar where you're sitting across from each other, even if you're looking into each other's eyes, blah blah blah, all that gay stuff. Just do Starbucks and cheesecake. Yeah,
I used to love those hot chocolates. I can't do them anymore though. I'm on a healthy diet, but yeah.
That's why you don't get laid and I do.
If only that were true. So yeah, stay away from the sugar. But yeah, it's beautiful. It was great to have you on the podcast, and I think we'll see you next time.
Cool.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye bye.